right now, looks like Mining Council, looks like sustainable new. You know what? I didn't even read this, guy, so I'm looking a little bit amateurish here because somebody was sending me these news. So this is, it just basically looks like the Bitcoin Mining Council. So it looks like they are obviously pushing for more sustainable energy, so they can, I guess, bolster this narrative, which does seem to be on, at least on face value, that it is actually more green than most would believe. Any comments on the whole sustainable energy stuff? You know, that's, I know that's been that's kind of started some of the FUD by our man Elon.
Yeah, man. Yeah, start by him. I think he has the power to make that conversation going, right? He has the influence, right? I mean, forget about the Dodge thing, but I think this one is actually something that is worthy of, like, appraising him for, because he's, clean energy and renewable energy has never been sexy, right? Until he start to make Tesla sexy, right? And then after that, people are talking about renewable energy, solar energy, and then it start to pick up, and you see that he have really changed how the automobile, works. But imagine that mining will go into this as well. So it will encourage a lot of new technologies, new era to adopt to this mining, and that is actually something to be reckoned with, right? And yeah, I mean, imagine that more and more solar power are used to mine crypto, which is going to be the foundation and bedrock for the future finances and how the internet works and how the internet of money works. That will be something. Imagine all the money that we have today is being powered by solar, right? In terms of mining, that is something crazy. Yeah.
Well, that's for the POW stuff, but like, what about, like POS, right? So what if obviously we get more? I'm just curious to see where this gets really road tested, because I mean, that was the whole point of bringing POS in the first place, right? Something that's going to be more, not only more energy efficient, but faster transaction speeds.
I mean, there's no right and wrong, right? I
เข้าใจความ
mean,
รู้สึก
that's
กู
the
เมื่อคืน
that's
ปะ
the beauty of, like, Bitcoin, right? And the beauty of
กู
crypto,
ไปนั่งบวกเลข
because you can decide how
ไอ้
it
ส่งมา
goes,
เลย
and
ว่า
if
ทำไม
people
ซ้ายข
dislike
วา
what
มัน
you're
ไม่เข้ากัน
saying,
วะ
they can go back to the original
ก็
way.
เลยไอ้
There's
ไอ้
no right
เอา
and wrong,
ไอ้เอาตารางมาดี
and
กว่า
that's
อยาก
the
เอา
beauty
ตา
of
ราง
crypto,
มา
right? So, but in regardless, right, I think that having more and more movements toward clean energy is definitely going to be great. With, coal and a lot of all these fossil fuel energy are not sustainable in the long run. I mean, I don't mean that it's not useful, but it's just that if there's a way to migrate and go into green energy, it's going to be great, and renewable energy. So yeah, maybe this will actually propel to more and more crypto and more new technologies adopting to renewable energy, sustainable energy.
Well, that certainly that is the hope, and I think we're certainly on that path. So yeah, it's just interesting to see that it's such a dominant narrative, and I found it that it took. I think it got a lot more traction than it deserved. And
Oh, you think that's
again, I
so?
think that was just more sort of more. Yeah, I do because when you take everything on whole and balance, like when you like, for example, when you're talking about um, the whole current financial system as it sits right now, and you just remove Bitcoin from the equation, how much energy is being expended to support those institutions globally? And I feel like Bitcoin would pale in comparison to the energy expended in those. And then that's why I think it's a bullshit argument. And it's like, really, is this really what we're concentrating on now? If it was something, it's not to say it's not worthy of discussion, but to FUD the technology or to really focus so much on that, I think is a straw man. It's actually not really getting at the core of what's happening. So I call bullshit on that whole thing. And I think now it's starting to flush out to the surface. By the way, worth mentioning, I think at the end of this month, on the 24th, Mr. Elon and Jack Dorsey are going to be having I hope at least a public discussion on this very issue. And Jack's obviously in the corner of BTC to see, I think, to sort of see that side and present those arguments. And I'd like to see, I'd like to see a balanced discussion, and I'm pretty sure it will be. They're both reasonable guys. So it will be interesting to see if Elon kind of comes full circle with some of the statements that he's made, because I think he is largely, I won't say he's responsible for the cascading of the markets. I mean, the markets are much bigger than him, but certainly he hasn't contributed a lot of positive things, which I think is contradictory to his actions, which were all around getting Tesla involved in BTC, which is kind of exciting, And then he sort of 180'd on that, and I don't know. I'm like, it looked very dubious, in my humble opinion.
I think it is, right. It's just like a bunch of like somebody was saying that imagine the two CEOs of like the Fortune richest CEO in the world. They are like just having memes conversation on Twitter. Right? Kind of like the world has changed. Right.
Yes, it has changed. It has changed radically.